Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a
All right,
vintage
Frankie
wine.
Familia. Frankie from Flatbush, FSPN, because FESPN, those bastards. Yeah. Anyways, we we are on the cusp of a new football season. Here we are, a couple of days away from the first week of the NFL season actually starting. It's unbelievable, but it's here. And so it's time now to figure out what the hell the Jets are going to be. After all, we have a first-year head coach, first-time play caller. We have an experienced DC, first-time quarterback, first-year quarterback for the Jets with this system, with Engstrand and everybody. So what the hell are we going to be? Well, I thought we would do it like businesses do it. You know, if you've ever been in business, what they do when they're about to figure out, all right, how is this initiative going to do? How's my new product going to do? They do an optimistic case and a pessimistic case, and then the realistic is kind of in the middle. So I thought that's what we would do, because anybody can sit there and tell you the Jets want to run the ball, the Jets are going to do play action off the run, and then they're going to throw. I mean, that's just the basics of football. Anybody can. We like to go a little bit deeper here on FSPN on the Frankie channel, and that's why you tune in to the Frankie channel, because I am differentiated in my content. This is called a unique selling point, or sometimes called unique value point. What is your value in the market, Frankie? There's 8 gazillion Jets content creators. So what value does old Frankie bring, as opposed to all those other bums that you could be watching? Well, let's get into it, shall we? I think I'm about to demonstrate this value. And if you think that what I do is of value, you would really help out old Frankie if you could subscribe to the channel. I'll tell you that much. And if that's a little too much for you, how about a like on the video, a little thumbs up? If you want to support via money, if you got a little extra scratch, hey, we got members levels. There's levels. And you get all sorts of stuff when you join, including things ripped from NFL playbooks. If you want to see what real NFL plays look like, you become a member of old Frankie's membership group. All right. Enough of that. What about, what are we talking about here? How are we going to give an optimistic and a pessimistic? What are you talking about, Frankie? Well, let's take a look at this. Now, as you can see here, what we got is 2 teams. This is going to be the optimistic case and the pessimistic case for the offense. Now, I believe we're going to have to see it, and we'll track it all year. You guys are going to be with me on the watch-alongs. I'll be doing my drive charts. We're going to keep track of all this stuff. And what are we going to keep track of? One of the things is RPO percentage. Now, this is something I've been focusing on this summer. You know, as I've been telling you guys about, this is the type of offense I think we're going to run. Now, the 2 team, what you're seeing here is the Eagles and Colts from last year. They ran the most RPOs percentage-wise of their plays. The Eagles, about a quarter of their plays were RPOs. Now, that's significant in a lot of different ways. Number 1, they won the Super Bowl, okay? Number 2, we have a quarterback who aspires to be like their quarterback, Jalen Hurts. And we have an offense, I think, that aspires to be like the Eagles. Now, we also have further confirmation of that from our head coach, Aaron Glenn, who, when one of the reporters said, well, you know, it's a passing league and blah, 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 he challenged the frame. That's something that many people should do with the media, these media dopes. You know, our beat reporters, a bunch of dummies. You should almost always challenge the frame. When they try to frame a question by giving you a long preamble and saying, challenge the frame, because there's going to be assumptions in that frame that you probably don't agree with. In that frame that the reporter was trying to say, well, you know, it's a passing league, but what about your passing? He was trying to criticize Justin Fields and our offense, you know, at least what's been seen in the preseason, that it's not good enough passing-wise, and it's a passing league, and are you worried about that, Coach Glenn? And Coach Glenn challenged the frame, which you should almost always do. And he brought up, and the way he did it, he brought up the Eagles. He didn't bring up the RPOs, but he basically said, were the Eagles a passing dominant team? And the answer was no. They were good enough passing team, but they were a running dominant team, and Saquon and Jalen and everybody else was running wild over there in Philly. And then they had a dominant defense and a good, but you do have to be good enough passing wise to keep everything copacetic, and it has to be balanced, a threat balance. You have to have a threat balance. Now, so we have confirmation that we're kind of trying to be like them. And one of the things they did, they ran 25%. This was the number one in the league, RPOs. Now, just because you run an RPO doesn't mean you're good, right? So I put into this chart, how good was the offense based on two categories of relatively advanced statistics, EPA per play and DVOA. You could also look at points and things like that, but that's rather mundane, and you can get that from anybody. Oh, Frankie likes to dig a little deeper. And so the Eagles had a 0.10 EPA per play, which ranks sixth in the league. So they had a sixth ranked offense according to EPA per play. And DVOA, another way to measure your offense, they were ranked fifth. So either way you look at it, a top six offense, right? Running 25% of their plays as RPOs. So I would guess we're going to try to run something like that, 20, 25%, maybe even 30. Go crazy with it. Number two team, though, was the Indianapolis Colts. They ran 16.44% RPOs. How'd they do overall? Not just on RPOs, just overall. Because don't forget, you're going to run. So the Eagles ran 25% RPOs. So that's 75% they're running something else. And so just because you run an RPO heavy offense doesn't mean your whole success or lack thereof is the result of your RPO plays. But nonetheless, nobody runs more than this. But how did the Indianapolis Colts do as an offense? Well, not too good. They ranked 24th in one measurement and 20th in this one. So anyway you measured, the Colts were not good on offense. And they ran the second most RPO percent. So look at it. This is an optimistic case, bing, and a pessimistic case, boom. We're going to, I think, now I'm making an assumption. We didn't see this in the preseason, probably because we didn't want Justin or any of our QBs to get hurt. We didn't run a lot of RPOs in the preseason, but that's probably because we don't want the quarterback running all around in the preseason, getting his head knocked off by some kid trying to make the team, So I'm making the assumption we're going to run a high percentage, and we'll keep track. We'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I think we're going to try to be the Eagles. And if so, we should probably be in the 20s. And I'm not saying we are the Eagles. We're aspiring. And if you're going to aspire to be somebody, aspire to be the Super Bowl champs, right? Well, go for the top. And we have a quarterback that aspires to be as good as Jalen Hurts. So this is basically your optimistic case right here. This would be the optimistic case where if everything fell right, if the offensive line blocks, if we get good blitz pickup, if everything goes great, we could see something like this where we have a top. I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is the optimistic case where we have a top 10 offense. Wouldn't that be something? Now, the pessimistic case is the Colts here. We run a high percentage of our RPOs like they did, but our offense kind of stinks anyways. And so this is kind of like the pessimistic case. You run your RPOs, Justin's just not good enough. The offensive line isn't as good as we think it is. The running backs dropping passes. The wide receivers stink. Everybody stinking it up. And we see what we've seen the past freaking 10 years out of the Jets, and we just stink it up on offense. And this is the pessimistic case. So the realistic case would be something in the middle. I mean, if we could have, let's say 15th best. What if we ranked 15th? That would be in the top half of the league. Guess what? In the past 15 years, how many times have the Jets had a top of the league, 15th or better offense? Once in 15 freaking years. So you could say now, it's not a perfect analogy because business and football are kind of two different things, even though the NFL is a business. Because there's nothing to say this is your optimistic case. I mean, they're the Eagles. They're the Super Bowl champ. How can you say this is your optimistic case? Well, we're being optimistic. If the offensive line, if the offensive line blocks their butts off, if we have tight ends who can block, if people are catching balls and not dropping them on the ground, and Justin, runs well. We do know he can run. Okay, we know he can do tush push kind of things. Also, okay, maybe we could have a top 10 offense optimistically. And this is pessimistic. So it's not perfect, but this is kind of like the framework I think we should have in terms of looking at this offense. How much RPO is it, and then how effective it is. Now, if we have a low RPO percentage, but we're just super effective anyway, I don't care. Who cares? But I just thought it would be interesting to take a look if we could find optimistic and pessimistic cases, and they were just 1-2 in the league right there. So that's really, and probably the realistic is somewhere in the middle. But if we can find our way to 15, I think we should be happy. Now, what about the defense? Well, the defense, there's no such way to measure it. But if you look at our personnel on defense, I mean, this is a pretty good first-string defense. With the addition of Harrison Phillips, we should be able to stop the run. Now, you could say the second string's a little lacking. Yeah, but what team isn't that the case? I mean, you have multiple all-pros here. Quincy Williams was an all-pro. Ahmad Gardner was an all-pro. Quinnen's been a Pro Bowler. Don't think he's made all-pro just yet. Jermaine Johnson was a Pro Bowler. That's a lot of people with a lot of accolades. Will McDonald, 10-plus sacks. Harrison Phillips, just a solid run stuffer. And then Jamie Sherwood, I'm sure he's going to make a Pro Bowl at some point. He's an up-and-comer. So, you could, this is just looking at the personnel, I would think this is a solid top 12, 13 defense. I mean, if we had let's say we had the 14th best offense, and we, I know that's a little crazy to say right now, but let's say we do, and we had the 12th best defense. Do we make the playoffs? So anyway, there's your optimistic, pessimistic. Now, the pessimistic for the defense would be, okay, guys get injured, and you can't sustain that because the roster's just not deep enough. I mean, when you're getting into Jay Tufele and Braden McGregor and Michael Clemens and Cam Jones and Quantez Stiggers, I mean, if our main dudes get hurt, we're in trouble. So that's the pessimistic. Optimistic, this could be a top 10, 12 defense, I think. We also don't know how they're going to be deployed by Wilkes and Glenn. That's something we're going to be learning about as we move along. We became very familiar with how Ulbrich and Saleh ran their defense, and therefore I could eventually predict how things were going to go based on the personnel we had, knowing how they were going to be deployed by Saleh and Ulbrich. We have some guesses. We think we're going to blitz more. We think there's going to be more cover 1, probably cover 4, man-ish coverages. We think based on, Detroit Lions and how they operated, but we don't know. We got to keep an eye on it. But I would just say this defense is looking good as long as there's no injuries, knock on wood. But that's the pessimistic. Optimistic, and then the pessimistic is we're a bottom 20 defense, bottom 20, we're back of the league offense and defense, and we're picking up at the high in the draft again, and that's probably you never know. But anyway, there's my optimistic and pessimistic. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Optimistic, how good could the offense be, like ranked wise? And defense, optimistic, pessimistic. Let me know what your optimistic and pessimistic is down in the comments down below. Like I said earlier, please subscribe to the channel. We got a goal to get up to 1,000 subscribers, and we got a long way to go. So we'd really appreciate your support here at FSPN. We're like David and the slingshot in the rock, trying to shoot it at the Goliath known as ESPN, because F those guys, man. I mean, the NFL bought 10% of ESPN. What the hell is that all about? The league owns the main media channel that covers it. The league has 10% ownership. What the hell is that? It's all sketchy, so we need independent media. If you support independent media, please subscribe to this channel, or please give me a like or a thumbs up, and consider joining the membership area. Why not? It'll do you some good, maybe. You never know. See ya.
In the park he starts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway on the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow,